One of the joys of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius is watching one of the units you didn't really want get an upgrade that makes them completely overpowered. And while that probably won't ever happen for Kaido here, it never hurts to hope. Alright, this video will only cover the upcoming Neo Vision Awakened units. Tagging alongside Neo Vision Laswell should be Uraisha and Konshira. Uraisha will get some incredible support abilities, with the ability to grant your team a killer buff against insects and dragons, increase their stats, raise some elemental resistance, and steal any elemental imperos, a 50% general mitigation buff, and an HP barrier. Her Brave Shift will give her some healing capabilities, alongside some powerful limit burst buffs and a complete debuff removal. Furthermore, she'll receive some incredible mitigation buffs, status ailment resistance, and a MP fill. Unfortunately, she doesn't get a triple cast, though that might be a bit much with the sheer amount of useful abilities. Konshira gets a triple cast, which can be used on some Neo Elemental hybrid attacks that chain with Absolute Mirror of Equity. Activate her Brave Shift and you'll find a valuable 5 element Impero, though it comes with a ridiculous cooldown. She gains some breaks as well, giving her a wider role to play in parties. Monk Sabin of Coates and King Edgar of Figaro will accompany Neo Vision Locke. Sabin will receive the ability to serve as a physical tank or magical tank, with some accompanying abilities to ensure his survival. Activate his Brave Shift and he turns into a magic damage dealer. Could he always do that? He gains some light, fire, and wind Chaos Wave Awakened attacks, alongside the Imperos and a quadruple cast to make them work. His Limit Burst is also nothing to pass over, thanks to a new active ability that buffs its damage. Edgar will be able to buff his damage against machines and avian enemies, as well as inflict some valuable breaks. He can also weaken the enemy spear resistance, setting him up to take to the skies with his Brave Shift. He becomes an incredibly powerful finisher, capable of piercing through enemies like paper. Lid and Jake and Fina and Dark Fina tag alongside Rain and Fina and Laswell and Reagan. We haven't actually received Lid and Jake as a regular unit, and introducing them as a Neo Vision will result in a fairly underwhelming unit for its rarity. Of course, it's always possible they'll receive further upgrades. For now, they look to be a unit with 4 different elements, Absolute Mirror of Equity and Boating Shrek Chains, and the ability to dish out some breaks. But if they don't receive any improvements, they're not going to be a very good unit. Fina and Dark Fina will gain an Earth Stardust Ray magic attack, a limit burst damage buff, and the ability to triple cast. Activate their Brave Shift, and they'll turn into an Earth and Light Absolute Mirror of Equity magic attacker with some Earth support abilities. Unfortunately, their limit burst isn't really anything significant, and the resulting damage output looks to be rather low. Untamed Wolf Idao should also get upgraded around this time thanks to an associated event. Her standard form doesn't gain any new active abilities, though her Brave Shift gives her a single Wind Boating Strike attack that deals evoke damage. Her limit burst also deals some evoke damage, but it's nothing too game-breaking as you might expect from a free unit. When Axstar and Cleome and Dark Fina and So were released, Gumi ran out of old paired up units, so they ended up upgrading Infernal Fire Rain and Draconian Princess Fina. Jokes aside, Rain gains practically nothing in his standard form. His Brave Shift gives him some Fire Boating Strike attacks that deal evoke damage. He also gets a powerful boost to his limit burst damage, though he's all but overshadowed by Draconian Princess Fina. She essentially receives the same upgrades, though with light attacks instead. However, her resulting passive and stat boosts end up creating a unit with a far stronger moveset than Infernal Fire Rain. Regardless, both units are incredibly powerful and will be an excellent boon to any players who might have them. Once Lightning receives her Neo Vision form, Radiant Lightning and Lightning will also receive some upgrades. If you understood that sentence in one go, you've clearly spent too much time playing this game. Radiant Lightning gets a triple cast and some stronger Lightning Absolute Mirror of Equity and Boating Strike attacks. She also gains a powerful Machine Killer buff. Watch her horse transform and you see some Lightning Boating Strike attacks that deal magic damage. Her damage output should end up coming close to Neo Vision Physalis. The original Lightning finally becomes relevant again with a triple cast and some Lightning Boating Strike attacks. Activate her Brave Shift and you'll find some rather niche support abilities, a Gun Impero, damage mitigation and killer buffs against machines, and the incredible Lightning type support Limit Burst. Reagan arrives with Mazurka because I'm sure they were the best of chumps. He receives a triple cast, the ability to imbue fire and ice onto himself, and a stronger Absolute Mirror of Equity attack. Activate his Brave Shift to give him some Stardust Ray attacks. He has a cooldown ability that can deal light damage, despite the fact that he doesn't have an associated Impero. He also has a one-turn definite cover ability, alongside 3 full team-wide rays. His damage output is surprisingly high, beating out our Neo Vision Onion Knight. Sarah tags along with Neo Vision Snow. She gains a triple cast, a quadruple cast, and some light and earth boating strike attacks. She deals more damage to avian and aquatic enemies and further raises her limit burst damage. Activate her Brave Shift and she shifts toward the healer row, with all the effects a healer would want. She covers practically all aspects, and her Limit Burst even has a general mitigation buff to boot. Her damage, however, isn't actually that high, which I suppose is a trade-off for becoming such an excellent healer. Warrior of Light Bartz and Gilgamesh of all people will ride Ferris' ship to New Horizons. Warrior of Light Bartz gains Throw of all things, instantly making him the most valuable character in the game. He also gets some powerful Wind Absolute Mirror of Equity attacks and support. These will be bolstered by a triple cast, a Beast and Plant Killer, and a Brave Shift that makes me faint from its sheer creativity. His Brave Shift essentially gives him and the team some tools to upgrade his damage. Wind damage can be raised to an incredible 45%, and everyone gets to use a wind attacks that chain with Oreo Ray. His Limit Burst isn't shy about spreading some buffs either, resulting in a very powerful unit. Gilgamesh gains a triple cast on top of the other upgrades we've never really received. He gains an incredible amount of passives for dual wielding, and once he activates its Brave Shift, he'll gain a plethora of abilities. First is a Lightning Graviton Cannon Full Break, then there's a complete 120% All Elemental Imperil, a chance to inflict death, we'll just ignore that, a Dark Oreo Ray attack, a Light Bolting Strike attack, a tornado that can fill your team's Limit Burst gauges, an attack that literally deals 1 damage and breaks all stats by 85%, a Grandest ability that will protect your team and ensure Gilgamesh's demise, an Absolute Mirror of Equity attack, and 5 different break abilities. I actually wouldn't care about that if it weren't for the sheer number of effects. As you might expect, he retains his potential variety depending on his equipment setup, and the wide amount of effects of his respectable damage makes him a very solid unit. Finally, Ignacio graduates from the 7-star ranking and gets his armor back as well. He gains 2 Fire Absolute Mirror of Equity attacks, a Fire Support, and a Fire and Axe Imperil. In terms of passives, he's gained more stats and a Beast and a Plant Killer. Around this time, certain magic spells should receive an upgrade. In Ignacio's case, he will end up with a Fire Chaos Wave Awakened magic attack. It's not like he'll become instantly viable, but at least it gets some attention. Put on his armor and you'll find that he gets its ability to absorb fire attacks. Most of his Neo abilities are single hit attacks, and while he does get to keep his Neo toys, it's not like it's different enough to comment further upon. Notably, he has a relatively long cooldown after changing forms, so keep that in mind. Regardless, he still makes a deadly finisher, one that can be boosted further as you please. And that's all the Neo Vision Awaken units that I've got information on at this time. Keep in mind that we do have global original units, and since it's December, some familiar faces might receive some upgrades. We might even get to see a limited time Neo Vision unit themselves. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Feel free to comment below. Are you keeping tabs on any of these units? There are certainly a few that have my attention, but that's a video for another time. I'm still hoping my Kaidos will see some use, though my excitement will definitely pale in comparison to Riser's ultimate Neo Vision reveal.